Buddy, thank you for bringing such nice weather. It's a beautiful morning. Goodness gracious. You know, we've been talking about a day trip to Minden. Folks, you got to do it. We visited the museum on, hey, buddy, good to see you, brother. Lots of nice people here in Minden. We visited the Dorcheat Museum. I've talked about a stroll down the red brick streets of quaint historic Minden, but my goodness, when you come, you better travel just outside about 6 or 7 miles, a place that, folks, I'm not kidding you, is unique in America. A place called Germantown.
From almost the day he died, people have been waiting for his return. They've also had different interpretations on how he is to be worshipped. In the early 1800s, a group of Germans led by this man, Count Leon, decided to leave Germany and create a utopian society, a place where Christ would be worshipped properly, without the ornate churches and religious trappings of the established German church. They eventually come south and settle at Grandecor near Natchitoches, whose latitude and longitude closely resembled that of Jerusalem.
I planted the crops and everything, but in August of 1834, Count Leon contacted yellow fever and died and was buried there.
Discouraged but determined, Count Leon's young wife leads this small band of believers up the Red River to Bayou Dorcheat, eventually ending up on high ground outside present-day Minden. There, they would create a communal colony of devout believers and wait for the second coming.
They had a lot of mulberry trees, and they grew the silkworms, and they did a lot of the weaving from the silkworm.
Otto Kraus is a fourth-generation Germantowner. He did not live in the colony, but his father remembers some of the group's strange ways.
When the boys reached the age of 14, they were taken out of the home with their parents and put in what they were called the bachelor's quarters. They were raised in that until adulthood.
Then the war came. Jesus did not. By 1871, the Countess had enough and the tiny colony disbanded. This is the way it looked in the 1940s. By 1975, the people of Minden realized this was an historic treasure and Germantown became a tourist attraction.
This is the Countess's cottage, and it was built in 1835 on this exact spot.
Incredibly, these are not replicas. 180 years after they were built, the room where the Countess slept, the kitchen where meals were prepared and consumed for 40 years, the cottage where the doctor lived and no doubt practiced are all still here. The last of the utopian colonies. There were 3 of them at one time in Louisiana. Communal, socialist in practice. Germantown survived the longest. But a civil war and the natural desire for men and women to chart their own course in life ended this colony's brief moment in the sun. Descendants, one of former Louisiana governor, have scattered across the land. Some, no doubt, still awaiting, in their own way and place, the second coming.
Tell you what, folks, just one more reason to visit Minden. What a great place for a day trip and this weekend. Remember, right here where I stand, there will be hundreds, maybe thousands of people here for a wonderful event Friday and Saturday called Grilling on Main. Nate Shannon coming back to y'all. What an amazing story what the Shreveport pilots have done. And folks, I've got another amazing story. I'm with you live along the streets of Main Street, Minden, Louisiana. A lot of good reasons to visit, especially for a day trip. But when you do, you've got to do what I did just the other day. Visit a unique place, literally, folks, I'm not kidding, unique in America. The Germantown colony just outside of town. Good morning, everybody. You know, I love history, and folks, my goodness, we've got a lot of it in the Arklatex, but nothing quite like this story. Look at this place. This is a place called Germantown. It's right outside of Minden, Louisiana. And these cabins, I'm not kidding you. Right, Catherine? They date back. They were built right in this area in 1835. The story is amazing. It's a group of folks in Germany, Germans, who were being persecuted for their faith, and they were anticipating the second coming of Christ. We all are.
Yes.
But they thought it was really imminent, so they said, we're going to go to America. They were looking for an area in America that was closely aligned with the longitude of Jerusalem and Israel.
Yes.
They originally go to Grand Ecore right outside of Natchitoches. They have some problems with malaria and yellow fever. And the Countess, it was Count Leon that kind of was the leader.
Right.
He passes away. The Countess then brings them here to high ground in Webster Parish. And they
Correct.
establish a colony in 1835 right here, right?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes.
I don't want to take your thunder away from you, but it's just beautiful and unique, and people come from all over the world to see this.
Oh, I have people from everywhere, and usually it's interesting. There's one in the bunch that knows English, and I usually translate. It makes for a longer tour, but
Yes. So this is an authentic cabin. These are not replicas. These are the actual cabins that people lived in. We're going back 190 years.
exactly.
Tell me
Yes.
about this cabin.
This is the home of Countess Leon. Her name was Alyssa Heuser. She was married to Count Leon. They had 3 children, and after his passing in Grand Ecore, they came here, and this is where she raised her 3 children and eventually 2 orphans from Minden.
And this would be the bed, maybe the piano, I don't know.
Yes, an organ.
The spinning wheel, the loom, all of this was theirs.
Yes.
This is authentic, folks. This is 190 years old. And what a blessing to have it still here, Catherine.
It is. It is. The dolls. A lot of children really like looking at the dolls in this room. This is actually her bedroom over here. The dolls inside of the case are dated for about the mid-1800s.
Golly.
In the early 1800s, their faces were entirely painted on. Then they made their eyes movable. But what's fascinating is the girl in the red dress actually has real teeth in her mouth.
Wow.
That's
because we didn't even have plastic in those days, so
Yeah.
if you wanted teeth, you had to do it that way.
Yeah, that
Again,
was-
folks, you talk
It was
about
pretty
history.
neat.
We're talking all week about reasons to come to Webster Parish in Minden. This is one of them. Just look at this. Let's just sit out here, Catherine. Let's end our segment here with you and I just sitting on the front porch of a cabin that dates back to the 1830s. And it's
Yes.
real, it's authentic, and you can visit it right outside of Minden. It's called Germantown, and it is beautiful. What do people say?
Yes.
Let's just end. What do you hear people say about this place?
They love how beautiful and peaceful. It's still peaceful as it would have been many
Amen.
years ago.
Amen. And they came here, this is the fascinating backstory, looking for the second coming of Christ.
Yes. They knew with all their heart that he was coming within the next decade.
It's amazing, folks. Come see us.